Andy Johnson, we are looking at sounder-outer research. Let me explain. Despite a wealth of research data from a wide variety of areas supporting a psycholinguistic model of reading, sometimes called a neurocognitive model of reading, there's still many researchers who still choose to understand reading and the reading process only in terms of the phonological processing model. Here, reading is seen as simply sounding out words. These people are called, or I call them, sounder-outers. As opposed, the neurocognitive model states that reading is creating meaning with print. And yes, we use phonological cueing system, the cueing system, to recognize words during this process, but also the semantic and syntactic cueing system. Now, the sounder-outers design research studies that examine the effectiveness of sounding out word instruction, and inevitably, they find what they are looking for. The findings indicate, lo and behold, that sounding out word instruction is effective in helping students to sound out words. Imagine that. Typical study, and I'm exaggerating slightly, goes like this. A treatment group is given intensive sounding out word instruction. A control group does not receive any sounding out word instruction. On post-treatment sounding out word measures, the treatment group scores significantly higher than the control group. Or, typical study number 2, students are pulled out of their normal classroom and given intensive one-on-one sounding out word instruction, usually by a specially trained research assistant. The results, after several weeks of this intensive sounding out word instruction, the post-treatment sounding out word measures are given. And these students have made significant gains in their ability to sound out words. Sometimes these students are compared to a control group. Typical study. Now, all of these studies meet the requirements of scientifically based research. And there's a description of what this research entails. And since this is all methodologically sound and meets all these requirements, sounding out research is said to be evidence-based teaching strategies, a validated teaching practice, or scientifically based reading research. Yes, it is. Pish posh, I say. The question is, can anything be said to be truly scientific that looks at some data but ignores a wealth of other data? Understanding reading research, and the reading process using only the very tiny peephole of experimental research gives you a false sense of reading reality. Experimental research is necessary but far from sufficient in understanding these things. Using only experimental research ignores findings from qualitative, descriptive, and naturalistic research. It also ignores research from other areas, including linguistics, eye movement, miscue analysis, cognitive psychology, and neuroscience. So, what happens next? Well, I've seen this movie before. Commercial sounding out word programs are designed based on this sounding out word research. Research-based is stamped on the side of the box. Schools buy these very expensive programs, and teachers are required to teach these expensive sounding out word programs with fidelity. That means they are required to follow the recipe exactly as it is written. No questions, no variations, no matter if it's working or not. But wait! Research based on a false premise will always result in misleading results. The false premise is that reading is simply sounding out words, when in fact, reading is creating meaning with print. Questions rarely considered by the sounder-outers: does sounding out word instruction enhance or impedes students' ability to create meaning with print? That's different from sounding out words. Is sounding out word instruction more effective than a meaning-based approach in helping students create meaning with print? When comparisons are made with comparable groups and comparable teaching, can you say with any certainty that sounding out word instruction is the most effective form to use in terms of long-term effectiveness on comprehension, word identification, fluency, vocabulary, and/or voluntary reading? And does sounding out word instruction enhance students' motivation to read?